good, Italian Job?
I'm feeling good, Tommy boy. How are you, my friend?
If I was any better, I'd be twins. It's good to be with you. We have a super busy weekend this weekend. There's stuff happening all across the nation.
Yeah, so we've got those who are signed up for Iron Packs Challenge. This is week 1 of Iron Packs Challenge, and it's bear crawl heavy. So if you haven't done it yet, TB, I'm signed up to do it tomorrow morning. It can't be as bad as week 0, right? Or is it worse? Have you experienced it week 1 yet?
I'm just going to tell you those are famous last words, my friend.
Oh, that's dangerous. What's going on in the mountains of North Carolina this weekend?
Yeah, rumor has it there's a whole bunch of guys running 208 miles across the Blue Ridge. The BRR is this weekend, Blue Ridge Relay. Teams, as we speak, are loading up in vans, heading towards the mountains. Godspeed to the guys who are running. Run well, run safe, have a blast. These are the men that when the sifter of life shakes, you're going to call on these guys from now till the end of time to ask for help, because you've seen them in very precarious situations. So,
speaking of precarious situations, Grow Ruck Training Event 31 in Cherokee, Georgia. So you've got on one area of the mountains, you've got guys who are running. On the other side of the mountains, you've got guys who are rucking under extreme conditions. It's going to be pretty heavy loads on the backs. Plus, I'm sure Bloodhound is going to be bringing some local flavor to his region with GTE 31. So we've got that going down. Plus 9/11 memorials galore. You know, we're coming up on gosh, can you believe it's been over 20 years? It's 21 years since 9/11. So we have guys who are participating memorial rucks and workouts and runs, and this is an annual tradition, something to keep the memory alive. So I know that's the type of stuff that's going on. Big weekend, huge weekend, lots of stuff going on.
No doubt. Well, let's launch into it. Last week we had a great conversation, ton of positive feedback from guys who dialed into Pure Lead on our conversation around fear and harnessing that energy to do good things across your community. Really enjoyed having him on, and guys, keep the ideas coming. You know, our guest today, it all comes down to when we brainstorm these ideas for these podcasts, right? We look to the packs of F3 Nation. We're seeking Twitter, we're searching out Slack, seeing who has things going on or who has questions worth answering. And so Drop Thrill, for example, introduced us to the mental battle. Big Poppy brought his expertise on reinforcing men's mental health. Just mentioned Pure Lead. We walk through harnessing fear to disrupt what we call the comfort crisis. So episode 50, here we are. I can't believe it. We all remember the moment when F3 became fun, whether it's the mumble chatter, whether it's conquering your first Murph beatdown successfully, following the Iron Packs Twitter handle. At some point, we realized that F3 is a grown man's research. And so we went outside our realm today and asked an organization, a team, literally, who is disrupting the status quo, to say the least. They have turned something that every American knows on its ear, and in doing so, created a legion of fans. And so I'm thrilled to welcome to our show today the president at the Savannah Bananas, Jared Orton. Jared, welcome to Stuff Worth Trying.
What's up, guys? This is awesome. I'm fired up to talk and see what you guys have up your sleeves, or as you were saying earlier, maybe not up your sleeves. You chop those sleeves off.
Yeah, maybe sleeve. It all depends on what side of the fence we fall on, I guess.
Right.
Well, Jared,
that's exactly right.
Let me put out a quick disclaimer to anybody who is not familiar with the Savannah Bananas. Gentlemen, stop what you're doing right now. Go find a millennial and have them download TikTok to your smartphone. And then search for the Savannah Bananas. You guys are destroying the social media airwaves. Videos, I think, as of last check, one of them is up to like 90 million views. Yeah. You know, as somebody who was raising a family of baseball fanatics, it's been fun to see what you're doing, taking something that we all know and making it fun again. Yeah. And so why don't you kind of give us the 30,000 foot view of what the Savannah Bananas and your organization is all about?
Right. You know, the Savannah Bananas, at its core, we just exist to make baseball fun. Like, that's the core principle of what we are trying to do. And, you know, way back in the day, 2015, the stadium here in Savannah, Georgia, Grayson Stadium, was basically set to be empty for the rest of eternity. And, you know, baseball had existed here for 90 some odd years. Professional baseball had existed here, and all the greats had come through here. You know, the Babe Ruths, the Jackie Robinsons, the Hank Aaron's, like even President Roosevelt gave a presidential address here at a centennial event. So like amazing things have happened here at Grayson Stadium in Savannah, Georgia. But in 2015, the team that was here at the current time basically said, we're leaving. The stadium's no good. The city's no good. There's no more baseball fans here, all this stuff, all this negativity. And so we had the opportunity to place a new team here. However, the change was we were not a professional baseball team. We were like the lowest of the low, right? We were a college summer wooden bat league team, which at that time was seen as like, wait, professional baseball has existed here forever. Why should Savannah be destined to be in this low-level league with this, non-professional team of a bunch of college kids? And so off the rip, we were just punished with like, these guys are going to be no good. They're not professional. We don't even know who they are. They don't even have a logo yet. And it was in those early days where it was like we've just got to earn the fans' trust, one fan at a time, one fan at a time, one fan at a time. And fast forward, we announced the name, we came out with the logo, people freaked out, people thought, this is the dumbest thing on earth. You can't be a Savannah Banana, that's not a real baseball team. And so, but in that moment, we got people's attention, and we kept proving to them like we exist to make baseball fun. That's what the brand's going to be. That's what the logo is going to be. That's why, we're going to have a senior citizen dance team called the Banana Nanas. That's why our mascot's going to be named Split. Like, we exist to make baseball fun. On the flip side of that, we said we're never say never, but we're not going to be the best baseball team in the world. We're not going to win the World Series. We're not going to sign, Cy Young Award winners. We're not going to be the New York Yankees. Like, we just can't be that. But what we can be is the most fun baseball team, and we can make baseball fun. And so that distinction early on was really allowing us to kind of carve this new niche of making baseball fun and existing in a world that no one else would exist in. Fast forward to where we're at today, we started selling out games, and people started coming from all over the country. And it was like 180 straight games have sold out since 2016. Wow. And we won championships, and players have been drafted and all these fun things. And now going into 2022, into 2023, is kind of the next chapter, which is Banana Ball, and the kind of what we see as the future of our brand, the future of the game. But the Savannah Bananas at their core are a real baseball team that exists to make baseball fun, and everything we do revolves around that.
So Tommy Boy, the last time I sat down and watched baseball on television, and then 3 weeks ago it happened. And now so every Friday night, right? You guys, depending on what package I guess you pick up for streaming. I know you're on Hulu. I know you're on ESPN Plus. Yep. I mean, I'm literally sitting around the TV watching 2 hours of solid entertainment. And it just so happens to be baseball. And I never thought it'd be bad. And I know boring, right? Because I'm a soccer player. So I understand what that heat comes from. And you guys have taken that and just completely reinvented the experience. So hats off. Italian Job, you were going to say something.
I was going to say, I've heard of the Savannah Bananas and Banana Ball being referred to as world famous baseball circus. P.T. Barnum meets the Harlem Globetrotters at a dance party. And for those who don't know it and haven't seen the videos, it is when I was a boy and used to go to minor league baseball games, that's when it was fun. It was $5 tickets, $1 hot dogs, $1 sodas. And then as I got older, I got real bored. Maybe we're so used to flashy screens and viewing, something always going on. And when you go to a baseball game, not a whole lot of action. There's a lot of time in between action. There's a lot of maybe the manager comes out to the mound. Maybe there's a conference at the mound. Maybe, goodness gracious, the batter steps out of the batter's box and takes his time. And next thing you know, you're in a 3-hour game. I'm going to be honest with you. My kids, they're pretty much done after 3 innings of a regular baseball game because it's not fun. You guys have entertainment the entire game, even in a rainout. If the weather even stops the game, there's nonstop entertainment. You guys have broken down the wall between baseball fans, baseball players, and you have immersed the fan into the fun of the game that we grew up loving and having fun doing that got real stale. You guys brought the staleness, kicked it out, and said, "Nah, man, baseball is meant to be fun, and the more fun we have, the better we play."
Right. What we saw early on, and then, again, this goes back to the delineation of like, are you a baseball team? Are you an entertainment team? What business are you really in? And I think that's whether you're a sports team or a plumber or you run the bank or whatever else you do, like, what are you really in and what are you really competing on every single day in the free market enterprise system? And you think about baseball, if you think about baseball as an industry, again, there's 30 major league teams, there's 120 some odd minor league teams, there's college baseball, high school baseball, there's independent league baseball, like there's 3, 4, 5, like if you want to see a baseball game, you've got plenty of opportunity. And so how or why would we try to lump ourselves into being one of 500? Like, why would you ever want to compete in that? Why don't we go over here in the entertainment space and kind of craft this new version of what a baseball experience is, where we can be one of one, where no one else is thinking about it, no one else is trying to do it, and let's go be one of one. And when you can do that, that opens up this crazy possibility, because there's no preconceived notion on what you're supposed to be. It's what Cirque du Soleil did to the circus. They said, yeah, we're a performance act, but we're not the circus. We're something so far beyond it that there's no other comparison that you can possibly attribute this to. And so, you know what? We get to make our own rules. We get to make our own experiences. We get to chart our own path. We get to charge whatever price we want to charge for these things. And so you create your own lane, and that becomes something powerful. And when we thought about the game of baseball, you're right on. And I know people talk a little bit about we're in this short-term attention span thing. I think that's been in the entertainment space for a while. No one really sits down at all and says, all right, I'd like to sit here for the next 4 hours and see what happens. Like, movies don't last 3.5 hours. A Broadway show doesn't last 3.5 hours. A concert doesn't last 3.5 hours. Disney on Ice doesn't last 3.5 hours. An NBA basketball, and you start thinking about sports, like NBA, 2 hours. A soccer match, 2 hours. Hockey, maybe 2.5, 3. I know the hockey's a little bit different. The only people who can get away with it is the NFL. And the NFL is one game a week, 3.5 hours, 16 times a year, 17 times a year, whatever it is now. Like, baseball is 162 if you're at the major league level. Like, you're not going to sit down 162 times for 3.5 or 4 hours. You're just not going to do it. And so how do you differentiate yourself? And that's kind of where we land on this idea of making baseball fun and creating what we believe is the most fun and entertaining version of the game.
Well, clearly it's working. I mean, the fact that you guys have sold out and for perpetuity. I mean, it's just, you got to get on a waiting list. Plus, you have more TikTok followers than any Major League Baseball team. I mean, that says something. They have a budget that's, they have an entire team of marketing folks who are trying to get what you guys have accomplished on, I don't want to say a shoestring budget, but you guys are doing it out of passion, out of love, out of the desire to make things fun. I think that's why it's exploding for you guys. That's why the growth is exponential. That's why people are driving from as far away as California to go to the East Coast to watch not just a baseball game. I love how you called it. It's a baseball experience.
Right.
It's immersing yourself in the fun. I didn't mean to step on your toes, TV. I saw you were about to say something.
No, it's all good, because I think about organizations, and when I get to travel and do some improv work, I always talk about the yes, but. Yes, that's a good idea, but, right? So what you really said is everything before the but, I didn't really mean. Watching your office team, watching, because there's a team and there's a whole team, right? So watching your office team, I'm using air quotes, get to interact with each other and feed off of each other's energy is great. There's this nail in the coffin statement of it's always been done this way. And F3's sake, back in January 1st, 2011, a couple of guys said, let's stop charging in the gyms, getting on a treadmill. It's not sufficient motivation for much of anything. And let's reinvent what it looks like for men to come together. get stronger, sharpen iron, and then go out and take that energy and improve our community. And in your guys' case, you looked at all the things that we've just talked through and said, why are we not disrupting the status quo that is known as baseball?
Right.
So where does that motivation come from?
Yeah.
Just to daily disrupt the status quo.
Yeah. I think that in general, it's come from this place of necessity of kind of like you mentioned, kind of the shoestring budget type of concept. And we have always had this idea of, we don't come from investment. We don't come from outside riches or outside wealth or whatever. Truly, we have to get up every single day and delight the fans. We've got to do something that delights our fans so that they are entertained by what we do and shout from the rooftops, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." And so, you think about the social media aspect of it. No one wakes up in the morning and says, "Oh man, I hope I get, advertised to today. I hope the Savannah Bananas email me a discount offer. I hope that, I can't wait to get that unsolicited text from Papa John's about 50% off or whatever." Like, no one goes on social media and says, "I hope I see only ads today." No one does that. And so when our people are thinking about how are we delivering this message to our fan base, all we think about is how do we create community around our content, our experience? How do we create something that someone's willing to share? And like shareable is a big metric that we use when we talk about ideas. Like, all right, great idea. Would someone put their social stamp of approval, i.e. their social media profile, would they put their social stamp of approval on this and say, "You know what? I watched this video. I thought it was funny. I think you'll think it's funny too." Because if they don't, if they're not willing to share it and say, "This was awesome. This was inspiring. This was motivational to me. This was funny," or "This will make you cry," or "I believe in this," then they're going to be apathetic and they're not going to do anything. And that's like the worst. We would rather people just say, "I hate it," and like share that instead of saying like nothing and being apathetic toward it. So when we are thinking about ideas and idea generation, it's all about, will our fans take this message, put their social stamp of approval on it and say, "I like this. I believe in this. The Bananas are awesome. I want my whole community to now hear about this as well."
So Jared, how do you come up with those ideas? Do you guys have ideation sessions where anything goes and we say, "All right, great, then you do it"? In F3 parlance, what we would say is you're freed to lead. And what we mean by that is somebody comes with an idea and we say, then go with it. There's no red tape.
Yeah.
There's no checks and balances of you must do this before you can do this. Let's start a committee and talk about it. It's like, nah, man, you're freed to lead. So is that similar how you guys come up with these spicy new ideas, this new stuff that's generating so many clicks, but more importantly, it's just fun? How do you guys do it?
Yeah, part of the process that we think about is really a lot of it's focused on what's happening in a live game, in a live event that would be counterintuitive to what someone would traditionally see at the game. And so then we take, quite simply, we take some of the categories of those specifics that happen. We say, okay, let's talk about how players are introduced in the starting lineup. All right, everyone bring all the most ridiculous ideas you've ever seen to the table. Let's talk about how our team celebrates the first run that they score. Let's talk about how pitchers are introduced. Let's talk about, and you start going through all the normal, just day-to-day processes. You guys might do that if you're hosting an event. You kind of mentioned it in 2011. It's like, what's the normal way a guy goes to work out? They pay a gym membership, they go to the gym, they go by themselves, there's no community, no one's having fun, they quit after 3 weeks, and it's like, okay, let's start with the process of going. There's no community. Let's bring 10 ideas on how to create a community. Let's bring 10 ideas on rethinking the workout. Let's bring 10 ideas. And so you just keep ideating on those traditional experiences that happen and say, what would 10 ideas be on this? And then we mushroom the process from there. And so we start thinking about, well, what's it like when someone gets a t-shirt from us? And what's it like when someone buys their tickets for the first time? And what's it like when someone comes to a game on the road? And then we just keep putting all these pieces into play. And then the other piece that we get is inspiration from the outside. And so we rarely look at sports teams. We do look at sports, like other sports. So like we did an intro with a guy. He walked up to the plate, and we had a caddy with him, like a golf caddy, and he was dressed in like the all whites from Augusta National and did the whole bit, and it killed because that's not traditional, right? That's a golf thing happening in a baseball game. But like we're inspired by Saturday Night Live, or we're inspired by like Impractical Jokers, or we're inspired by a YouTube channel, or we're inspired by like a cruise line or an entertainment venue. Like we try to take all these other inputs, bring them into our world, use the lens of make baseball fun, and then see what happens. And so there's that external inspiration, and then there's that internal inspiration of like, what does our business look like? What are the normal things that happen on a regular basis? How do we really start ideating around that?
It's fun because as you're talking through your processes, I'm thinking of ours as well. And every region does things a little bit differently, but at the end of the day, we have 5 core principles. It's free of charge. We've eliminated that barrier from the jump. It's free of charge. It is open to all men. Are you a dude? Great, come out and let's have some fun together. It is volunteer led and held outside, rain or shine, heat or cold. My most memorable workouts are the ones in snow or pouring rain. It's just that fun. And then lastly, we end with what we call our circle of trust. And so what you're talking about is like you said, is exactly what happens with an F3. And I think of my most compelling workouts are the ones where guys have put a little bit of experience seasoning on what we're going to do. We talked about the Iron Packs Challenge. This is a group of guys in Greenwood that looked at a cinder block and said, how can we make a cinder block even 10 times more nasty than it already is? Mm-hmm. And this is what, year 4, and thousands of guys are signing up for this thing. They know it's going to be horrible. And yet they flock to sign up. They flock to drop their rep counts or their times in, and none of it matters. It's like, whose line is it anyway? The points don't matter. But we love it because somebody looked at something and just said, well, it's always been done this way. Let's not do it that way and have a blast with it. We're also, one of the things in F3 that we have our sights on is growth. You all just made a big announcement that moving forward, your main focus is banana ball. You're expanding your team base, which is super exciting, as well as you're getting all sorts of feedback, pros and cons, right? One of our goals is to grow to 250,000 men by 2025. And the hardest sell we have is, hey, by the way, we work out at 5:30 in the morning. And guys start immediately throwing up excuses, right? So in your regards, it's like, well, why'd you go with the Bananas? It has nothing to do with Savannah. We should have been the Specters or the Braves or whatever. And it's like, well, hear me out. We're going to change your life, whether you know it or not. Show up at 5:30. Step out of your comfort zone, do a hard thing from the jump. The rest of your day is going to be filled with joy, because that hard part's over with. You guys almost do it backwards in the sense that it's like, we promise you're going to have a blast if you come spend some time with us. And you've got to get over the fact that we've taken the game that your grandpa took you to, or your uncle grew up with watching, and we've changed some things, and we guarantee it's going to be fun. For example, the eight rules that you all have. Some of my favorites are, how do we make the fans a part of the game? So if my batter foul tips it and a fan catches it, you're out, buddy. Thanks for coming out. IJ talked about prices at baseball games. The ticket price is the ticket price is the ticket price. You're in, and
it's all inclusive of meals and drinks. I mean, Jared, I'll be honest with you. I've recently gone to a minor league stadium in the city of Charlotte, North Carolina. Some people will figure out who the team is. I paid $23 for a ticket. I paid $15 for a cheeseburger. I paid $7 for a soda. And of course, my kids wanted ice cream. I dropped, for a family of 4, we spent well over $100 for a minor league baseball game. And here's the kicker. We left in the 4th inning. People don't leave the Bananas games. You guys have a set time, and it's the conversation at the water cooler tomorrow. Did you see what they did last night? You guys bring that excitement where let's be honest, baseball, sometimes you leave the game and it's like, well, I don't even know if they won or not. No one really talked about it, that next step. You guys are bringing that spice. And I liked how you said it, Tommy Boy, just spice. You're bringing that spice.
Yeah. And so how do you leverage that power, that enthusiasm to grow and to accomplish your mission, but then also grow it?
Yeah. I was listening to the story of Starbucks a while back, and they were, when Howard Schultz came back in to take over Starbucks, they basically just had this one big idea, and it was grow, 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 grow. And he had to recalibrate them and remind them that growth is not the strategy here. Like, growth is because we did all these things right along the way. And we sold one cup of coffee to one person, and we did it really well. And we did that millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of times over and over and over. And we're going to look up, and our customers are going to have told us we need to grow. And Chick-fil-A has the same mindset, not the growth mindset, but for us, we see this, that yes, there's a number out there, and it's like, what would it take to play in front of 1 million fans, in 2030 or whatever. But we don't just say the number and say, yep, we'll get there, right? You go all the way back to, what are we doing every single day so that our fans demand that we do it again. They demand that we go to a bigger city. They demand that we go to a bigger stadium. They demand that we put out, bigger things on social media and take on more followers and develop more content. Like, it's because of them that we have to do these things, because we've delivered to them every single day. If you flip it around and say, we're going to shove it down your throat, we're going to go to 1 million fans, 2030 come, we don't, by hook or by crook, it doesn't matter, then what's the motivation there? Is it just motivation for growth of growth's sake, just to say we're big, just to say we got to do it in front of 1 million people? Or is it, we're just so obsessed with doing this every single day for these amazing people, and we can't wait for them to tell the next person about it and the next person, and we can't wait for, in 20 years, them to bring their children and say, you know what? I got to see the Bananas the first time when they were in Birmingham, Alabama, and we can't wait to go back and show it to you. And so that's how we think of growth, that it is a byproduct of doing something really, really, really well over a long period of time. I think Dave Ramsey always says, most overnight successes take about 50 years. And then, oh man, these guys are overnight success. It's like, oh yeah, we've been doing it for 49 years. Like, yeah, we finally got there.
It was over your night, not over their night.
That's right. That's right. And so that's where there's nothing wrong with having goals, right? Like, we got to have something that we're aiming at. We got to have something we're chasing after. We got to align on, hey, we all agree, we see this, we're going after this thing. Yep. Now let's figure out how we're going to do this, because that's what matters. The process is what matters. And then we get to all celebrate at the end and say, oh my gosh, we've blown this thing out of the water.
Yeah, in F3, watch this Italian job. I'm going to screw it up one more time. In F3, we call it vape, and it's visualize, it's articulate it to the team, it's persuade them to come along for the ride, and it's exhort the action. Right?
There you go.
I always screw that up. So
you
Jared,
got it this time.
Being here, you're my good luck charm. I nailed it. So, but it's exactly that. That creates that pseudo overnight experience and overnight success. I've got one more question, and then I'll hand it over to Italian Job for you. Any questions you have, IJ? But the term we use in F3, the guy who brings the fun, the guy that is just this magnet that other men want to be around or show up at his cue because he's leading an entertaining workout. It'll be a good push, but also rewarding on the soul. We call that guy the Sunshine Bazooka. So as a Sunshine Bazooka, what advice do you have for leaders looking to persuade their men, their team?
Yeah. I remember when I was growing up, I worked for Chick-fil-A through high school, and My first job was a Chick-fil-A cow. I danced on the street corners as the Chick-fil-A cow. And I remember one of the Chick-fil-A operators one time said, I'm not really in the chicken sandwich business. I'm in the leadership development business. I just sell $3 chicken sandwiches, to fund my leadership development business. And he had a mindset shift of, what am I really supposed to be doing here? And I've had that shift over time. When you start a business, you got to get going. You got to sell some stuff. You got to get things going. You got to market these things. You got to price accordingly. You got to get some funding over. But like the relationship with people is just so powerful. And we live in a time right now where people are starving for recognition. They're starving to be recognized for the great things that they're doing. Not just a pat on the back, attaboy, thanks for showing up to work today. They're starving for the recognition of the powerful things that they did, because they did impacted the company in a positive way and impacted people and told a story and made something different for the people that they worked with. And when you're a leader and you're in a position of bringing people along, when you can recognize the people on your team for the great things that they've done, it becomes a catalyst for them to want to recognize the great things that other people are doing. And it affirms, this is what we're here for. This is why we're doing this thing. And you are important and you matter here. And we can't wait to do more of those things, because what you did for that person, that was incredible. And you got to be specific, you got to be timely, and it's got to be personal. It can't just be, you got employee of the month. You see your name right there on the wall. That was you, employee of the month. We put your name up there. How do you get their family involved? How do you get their interests involved? How is it something that is on their bucket list? Or how is it something that, changes their life in a way that they could never do themselves? And obviously there's scale to that. You're not going to reward everything the same way, but the power of recognition on a repeated in a repeated way is something that is life-changing to, I think, the person that's doing it, obviously, and certainly the person that's receiving it.
In F3, you'll hear a lot of people say, mission first, people always. It's military inspired, but you guys say fans first, entertain always. Yeah. I mean, it's really cool, how these things line up. I could spend all day asking the nuances of how in the world did you guys do X, Y, and Z. I just encourage everybody who's listening or watching to go on TikTok, to go on YouTube, ESPN Plus. There's an entire series about, about going bananas, basically. Right. So I guess to close it out, rather than me going down my whole list and taking the next hour, because I'm very interested, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to fanboy out. So I'll just ask you this: how best for the listeners to find more about Banana Ball, about the Savannah Bananas, and about what you guys are doing to bring the fun wherever you are?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. The social media stuff is always the place to go. And we're with the announcement we made about going full-time Banana Ball. We are bringing the Banana Ball World Tour across the country as fast as we possibly can. And so the hope is over the next 3 to 4 weeks, 1st of October, maybe 2nd week of October, we will announce the 2023 Banana Ball World Tour. A lot of games in Savannah, but a lot of games around the country. And so my hunch would be, whoever's listening, wherever you're listening, we're probably coming to a city near you. And Banana Ball will be something hopefully you don't want to miss.
I can second that motion 100%. We were traveling back, my wife and 2.0 were traveling back from Florida, back to North Carolina, swung by Savannah because it was the midway point. Did not get into the game because it was sold out. However, received a wonderful fan first experience from an awesome young lady at the merch tent. I wound up with a brand new Banana Ball hat. They got to tour the stadium and get the lowdown on how things, how people are entertained. And they came home and said, we felt like we were standing outside of a rock concert. We had so much fun. So whatever you're doing is obviously working. My wife and daughter had a blast and didn't even see a lick of the game. That's cool. So well done. Challenge worth trying for the week, Pax. Hopefully you have picked up some great motivational nuggets from this conversation. Your challenge on a very busy weekend, as we discussed at the top of this podcast, is to be the guy that makes another guy want to come back for his second workout or his 202nd workout. Be that guy that motivates another man to get 1% better that day and then come back and do it again and again and again. Italian Job, you're the man with all the great thoughts. What you got for us as we close out?
Dude, putting me on the spot. I'll tell you, I don't have a whole lot to add on top of the fact that people may not remember what you say, but they will always remember the way you made them feel. And when you hear about things like an experience at a ballpark, these are the things that I remember as a kid. I reckon back to, I go back to those days of spending time with my parents and my friends, and it was never about the toy that was purchased. It was always about the experience. And people don't always remember what you say, but they will remember how you make them feel. So to piggyback off of what you were just saying, TB, make somebody feel worthwhile today. Make somebody feel that it's worth their time and that they are appreciated. Jared, that being said, we appreciate the time, man. You gave us more time than we said that we were going to take from you, but you were a pleasure. For my Chick-fil-A, it was a pleasure to spend some time with you today. I think we'd be remiss, Tommy Boy, if we didn't allow Jared to close out with anything he wants to say. So, Jared, the mic's yours. Anything you want to add to the conversation?
You guys nailed it. It is about the people. I think you guys have seen that, and this organization sees that. When it's all said and done, you remember the people you worked with, your family, the people that you impacted, and the people that impacted you. And so those are powerful things to think about. Appreciate you guys doing this.
Thanks so much, Jared. All right, Pax, be good or be good at it. We'll see you next week.